Welcome to DJ's Workshop, guys. Today we'll be looking at how to replace the backflow valve on your sprinkler system. During the hard freeze of 2021, almost every house in Houston, Texas had damaged sprinkler backflow valves or backflow system. Let me show you the damage to this particular system. So you can see there is a fairly decent damage on the side. As soon as you turn on the system, it will start leaking from there. Uh, for to replace this, we actually went in and ordered an entire assembly system because it was pretty hard to find the part, especially the valve that had a bleeding port on the side. So we went in and ordered an entire system, and we'll use the current one as a backup in case in future if we need more. Hopefully not. Before we proceed to do anything, we'll have to make sure that we shut the water supply to the sprinkler line. Depending on your house setup, you may have a special shut-off valve for sprinkler system. If not, you will have to actually go to the city water main line and shut the water supply for entire house. In this case, we had a special shut-off valve for sprinkler system, so we went and did that. But in this case, in case if you don't have that, this is a city valve where you'll have to shut the water off. Easy to find out if you have if this valve is a sprinkler system or not is shut it off and turn a sprinkler system on. If the sprinkler don't come on, that means that is a shut off valve for sprinkler system. First shut off, we will start working on this system now. As you can see, there is already joint here. We'll put a cut below the joint, that way we can get rid of that extra joint in the system, and we'll just replace that with an entire full pipe. Or in the case of top, we can see there is already one joint here that was done before in a previous damage. So we'll try to salvage that, and we'll cut the bottom, and we'll try to unthread that part and see if we can uh, uh, salvage that, and then if not, we'll go ahead and cut that part and replace that as well. Let's start cutting. Now that I have the pipe cut in, and I actually went and unthreaded the top part. Before I installed the new system, I went ahead and disconnected the bottom valve so that I can thread the top part. While I was doing that, I had to actually remove the bleeding port because it was in our way when I was trying to remove the bottom valve. Once we put the system back in, we'll have to put that bleeding port back in place. So let's go ahead and actually thread that valve back on the top part. Like I said, the goal was to actually salvage the work on the top pipe as well. It already has one joint already there, so the goal was to not to touch that unless I really absolutely need that. Uh, we'll go ahead and thread the top part, and until it's nice and tight. I already had to put a Teflon tape on the plastic thread, that way you have a nice seal. Now with the top part on, we'll go ahead and install the bottom valve. The reason we had to remove the bottom valve so we can actually thread in the top left side. If we were to actually go and put a joint on the top side as well, then we would have left this thing alone and just kind of have a cement joint on the top and bottom both. So let's go ahead and thread the bottom valve until it's nice and tight. You want to make sure that you give enough support to the pipe on the left. You don't want to break that pipe, otherwise there's some more work coming back for you. Uh, as you will see that while I'm doing it, it's getting tight. I'll try to support the pipe with my elbow so I don't put too much pressure on elbow and break it. And then now just to get it tight enough and bring the valve in front, we're gonna just take a grip with the channel lock and just hold that entire system so we don't break it, and bring that valve part in front. You'll also see that I've already installed the plastic adapter to convert thread part to the slide on part, so that you don't have to do it later on while thinking the system. Next very important part is to make sure that there is no water, because now we'll be actually doing the cement joint of the PVC. You don't want to have water in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the water with the rag, and just make sure that there is not water overflowing while we are doing a cement joint, as it'll impact your strength of your joint. So we'll go and remove some water from the pipe, and then dry the outside of the part to make sure it's nice and dry, so we get a good cement bond. Okay, so now it's a time to do the cement welding. That's the most important part of this job. First, we'll go ahead and actually apply the primer. The primer is a purple looking solution. What it does, it basically kind of helps in the cement joint by softening the PVC, so they can get welded by welding cement. Well, as you can see, just you want to cover all the areas, so you have a good coverage of a cement and a primer. Uh, Once applying the primer, we'll go ahead and apply the cement solution on there. Once we apply that, again same thing, we gonna go and apply in 360 degrees all the way around, inside and outside both, where the joint is going to be. And once you have that, all you have to do is just push that coupling back until it stops, and then give it a turn, about 1/4 of a turn, to get a good cement bonding, and then just let it sit for at least 30 seconds before you do anything on that. While at the same time, I think I ended up taking more cement in there, so I saw some cement oozing out. I'll go and take it out with the rag. Now the next part is actually cut the solid piece of pipe to bridge that gap, and our job will be done. It is very important that you measure that piece of pipe of a correct length, so you're not putting stress on the pipe. We'll go ahead and measure that length. Uh, just I'm gonna try my best to show you, but when I'm taking length, I'm gonna go almost on top part where the pipe stops inside that sleeves, and take the measurement and cut the pipe accordingly. So let me show you, if I can see the start of my tape. That's where usually until that point the pipe will slide on, and I'm going to take almost to the middle of the coupling at the bottom. That's what's going to be my measurement, and in this case it was about 9 inches. So we'll go ahead and cut the piece of pipe about 9 inches to finish the job. So I have my piece of pipe cut in and ready. We'll do the same thing again. We'll apply the primer on all the surfaces. In this case I'll be doing two joints, the top and bottom together. So I'll have to apply the primer on all the sides. If you had applied the primer previously on a surface but it dried out and it has been a while, go ahead and apply that primer again. That way the PVC is kind of softened down and ready for weld. Uh, I can actually do both welding together, but it's always good idea to actually go and do one at a time, so you have enough time and you're not rushing to get correct position. Like I said before, we'll apply the cement on both sides, push the pipe inside, and give it a 1/4 turn to get good bonding. We'll wait for at least a minute or two before we actually attempt for another weld on the pipe. Now that weld is dried up, next part is actually do the final weld. Same thing, we'll be doing priming and applying a cement. After applying a cement, next part is to do the joint by just sliding those pipes in and applying the pressure for minimum of 30 seconds. I already see some excessive cement coming out, so with the rag I'm gonna go and wipe it down so our weld is looking clear and clean from outside. Right now, like I said, I'll keep applying the pressure just in case if there was a stress and my alignments were not right. The joint doesn't come apart. In my case, the alignment was correct, so I don't need much of time, so I let it go in 30 seconds. But in case if you cut the pipe too short and you have to actually uh, align the pipe by pressing, I would say keep holding the pipe for at least a minute or two before you let it go. Once the welding joint is done, you'll have to wait for for your joint to dry out for at least a bare minimum for about an hour or hour and a half, prefer 2 hours. The reason being that is, remember, this line is getting direct pressure from city line, which is 50 psi, so you want to have your bond of a cement strong enough to withstand that pressure. If you do turn on the water fairly quick, then that joint may come apart and start leaking and give you a huge leak. So friends, I hope it was useful, and as you can see, if you're a little bit of handy and if you have right tool, this job is not that bad. As long as you have right tools and parts in place, it can be done easily. Thank you for watching.